over the last couple of weeks, we've had a look at the run that Serral had in the RSL, then we looked at what Maru did in the RSL, and then most recently, we had a look at all of Scarlet's games. I figured we'll continue the trend this time around for the latest member of Team Onsite. We're looking inside of the main base of SHIN. His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the highest ranked Protoss player on the planet, we have none other than herO. I heard that the SHIN games in particular were very, very fun, so we'll find out together exactly what ended up going down here. His first opponent, though, is herO, and I feel like herO, man, like, he pops up in, like, half the casts I've been doing lately. Initially, herO really didn't seem to be enjoying the new patch nearly as much, but he's been playing in everything once again, and he's been basically beating everyone, except for, well, Clem. Yeah, it's one of the difficult things, right? When you are a high-ranking player, well, even if you do play in the smaller weekly tournaments, the ones with a couple $100 on the line, you may still run into the likes of herO and Clem, and more often than not, they are the ones playing in everything, and more often than not, they are the ones meeting in either the semifinals or the grand finals. Now, this is, of course, a much more prestigious tournament. As a matter of fact, the finals is going to be played at BlizzCon. So I think that's also one of the reasons why we've seen some of the players that have not previously played in the RSLs now sign up. Like, for example, Serral. May as well already book his ticket, to be honest. I'd be very surprised if Serral does not somehow, some way make it to the grand finals. But either way, we did see him advance in the past. Now let's see how well SHIN can do. For now, though, it's a pull first into a hatchery. herO did block the natural expansion. SHIN pretended like he wanted to go into the third base as his very first expo. Not quite the case. And I guess because we saw that it indeed was a very quick spawning pool, we will be building a Zealot first. He could always choose to just cancel it, though, and just build a Nexus. That's what he's paying attention to right now with this probe. He wants to see how many Zerglings are going to be popped out. Will it be Lings, or is it going to be drones instead? Yeah, he's going to see 6 Zerglings right now, so that means that this Zealot will likely finish up, and we delay the Nexus for a little bit. It's a cute little play. Canceling units doesn't cost you any resources, so if you have it in the queue, you cancel it. Everything is going to be A-okay. We should be able to complete the wall off here as well in time, or at the very least get an Adept Chrono boosted out and be somewhat safe. Now, they did change all of the timings on basically all of the gateway units up a little bit. So you do have to figure out exactly how these sort of things now line up. Obviously, it's also not 100% clear, right? Like, what sort of spawning pool timing is this really? Since we now have an 8-worker start, it's always a little bit difficult to predict. But herO did see the timing of the gas or the lack thereof, so he knows that this is not going to be quick metabolic boost. So already the majority of the Zerglings are running back home, just to keep them around, because he can't really fight an Adept at this stage in the game. Not until metabolic boost is finished, and I think we'll probably see that start up here in just a moment. SHIN does pull all of the drones out, and there indeed is the Zergling upgrade coming in. Okay, Stargate in the meantime. I don't really like this all too much for SHIN, to be honest. Like, oh, I like this even less. I guess because of the Zealot, herO hit a supply block. Yeah, he's not quite used to the new patch yet, I guess. Anyhow, it doesn't really matter all too much. At this point, the Adept harassment is nice. But if you lose this one, well, it's impossible anyways to really join together with the second. You can still use it, of course, to secure a quick third base. We don't really have an established standard right now in pretty much any of the matchups. Especially PvT right now, any of the matches that herO is playing seems to be way up in the air. All the other Protoss players out there are still going for Blink Stalker builds, but herO is doing a little bit of everything. I really like that series that I did cast between herO and Clem the other day. That was such a phenomenal match. Anyways, in PvZ, is the Oracle build still the go-to? Is this still what you're going to be doing as Protoss 9 out of 10 games? There might be some variety possible because of the Warp Gate research. Maybe you can take a safe third Nexus early on without actually having Oracles up in the air, but Oracles just have so much utility, right? You force out Spore Crawlers, you make sure that the Zerg player is going to be honest as well if there's any sort of early game attack. You can defend a third Nexus, and then if you keep the Oracle around, which you really should, you have so much mid-game utility as well, and potentially even late-game utility if you keep it around for a really long time. Where Revelation, obviously, is really useful for scouting, but also really useful for Tempest later on. So I would imagine Oracle builds are here to stay for a while longer, but this is a little bit different because we only have a single Oracle. and the follow-up is quick glaives. Normally we go at least 2 to 3 oracles, so this is certainly not quite what we see every single game. Because of the warp gates, yeah, he's not even transformed them yet. So because of the latest version of the patch, you now get a 50% production boost on gateways after the warp gate research is done. Pylon is going to be finishing as well, so this should be more than enough. Yep. Phoenix, just to try and push back Overlords, I would imagine. But these adepts are going to be coming out in pretty large numbers, and you really don't need that many gateways to try and pull it off. +1 melee here for SHIN coming up. You do need a lot of links if you want to try and defend against something like this. Oracle will try to just stick around for the time being. In the meantime, the hatchery on the left side of the map is going to be fully saturated. But how much damage can those oracles do? At this point, SHIN hasn't seen any of them. I don't think anyways. They're all over at the third base now. They've been shading around, trying to deny vision. Yeah, Zerglings are now coming out in pretty large numbers, because SHIN has been greedy, man. But Glaive Adepts, of course, do deal with Zerglings really nicely, and +1 melee will certainly not be done in time. Are we now gonna transform the gateways? Yeah. Now apparently is when the warp gates come in. I like this, man. hero following it up with Blink as well, so this is by no means an all-in. He's already got a really stellar economy. Do you commit against Lynx? I think you do. Yeah. Especially if you can wedge your units into the corner like that. Just forcing out a ton of production like this is huge. He also gets a full scout, of course, of everything that the Zerg player is doing. Main base is in a world of trouble, man. Eventually, the Adept will get cleaned up. The main question is how much damage will they do in the process? And what does Protoss follow it up with? Well, he has seen the timing of the lair, and apparently, hero is not impressed. It's a straight fleet beacon. So we go 1 Oracle into a Glaive Adept push, into Blink, and then straight into a fleet beacon. The follow-up has to be a Mothership. It's really the only thing that makes sense. You could go into a Tempest as well, I suppose, or Carriers, but the Mothership really does make the most sense in this type of scenario. You do still have to respect the Zerglings, though, because +1 melee is, well, done at this point. There's really not a lot of units available to currently defend. I would actually be a bit worried, I guess, if I was in hero's shoes, on just like a potential Baneling bust. The thing is, this structure is 300 minerals, 200 gas. This unit is 400 minerals, 400 gas. So we just made a massive investment into something that doesn't exist for several minutes. And in StarCraft terms, that is a very long time. I guess that's why we have these Adepts. To try and just, well, keep the Zerg player occupied. The nice thing, of course, is when you kill drones, Zerg wants to replace them. So while we're defending here with Zerglings, he's really trying to make the bare minimum just to push away those Adepts. He will test the waters right now, but I think this is plenty safe. Yeah. Both players are going to be at 67 workers. 5th hatchery, all the way up north. Okay, Blink Stalkers now get spotted. I think SHIN is not too worried about it, because Blink Stalkers are usually already, well, countered by Zerglings. So, yeah, he's celebrating right now with a big round of workers. Let's see. Mama's gonna be out. This is probably, like, the most... like, the safest Mothership Rush you can reliably go for. Like, obviously, you can get a Mothership out sooner than 8.5 minutes if you do it on 1 base. But this is the most reasonable Mothership Rush you can realistically pull off most games, I think. Obviously, if you see your opponent going Spire, it's not the best choice. I really think you don't want to show this, do you? Yeah. No, I think we're just really building it for base defense. I guess that's the only goal. He did lose, yeah, a whole lot of Adepts, not a single Stalker. The Stalkers, I think, just got recalled. Now the Mothership indeed gets spotted, and Corruptors immediately get queued up. Weirdly enough, though, this is not actually a Skytle's army, so we're going Blink. But the follow-up is High Templar, the follow-up is Charge, it's +2 ground. A Robo facility, loads of Photon Cannons. He's forcing out a ton of Corruptors that really aren't going to be useful after killing the Mothership. We're going Corruptor Hydra, man. Remember the days? If you've been watching this channel for a really long time, you may remember... this was a Hearthstone video from a long time ago, where he had pro gamers effectively making fun of me playing Hydra Corruptor. Look at me now, boys. Let me just say that at the time, my build order was absolutely terrible. And it wasn't really the right way to play the game. But nowadays, yeah, you could say that I was like 5 years ahead of the meta. Corruptor Hydra, baby. Clearly the best way to play. All right. We're going to test, though, the waters right now. herO's got a massive army. He's storming everything that he can hit. Corruptors needed to get back here. Storm is obviously really nice on top of the Hydras, but now the Corruptors go in. There is an Archon underneath. Time Warp is also pretty good. Trying to bait the units back towards that stasis ward. And I think ultimately, yep, Mama is going to die. But you know what? You forced out a Spire. You forced out 8 Corruptors. It's not like the Corruptors are entirely useless now moving forward, but they're by no means the best unit to have here as the Zerg. You can maybe caustic spray a couple of things. Guess that's really the only thing you can do. Okay. Spinecrawler's coming up in the meantime for SHIN. And the Corruptors are thinking about probably puking down at Nexus. If there's no Warpins available, it might be kind of decent. Here we go. Is there enough? So the damage ramps up really quickly after a few seconds. There we go. Look at the HP bar disappearing. Yep. I mean, that makes it pretty good, right? It's not like the main base is that important, but simultaneously, we have a massive attack right here from SHIN on the right side of the map. He wants to get all of the probes. We should probably just detonate 1 or 2 of those Banes manually. I guess bruising the probes is not good enough if your name is SHIN. Oh, careful right now, brother. Okay, we do see the probes returning. Ultimately, I mean, only really a handful of workers have died thus far, but the Nexus is gone, and herO's army appears to be, well, powerful, but not good enough. It's good enough against these units, though. They're not going to be able to escape, but there will be so many Zerg units available by the time that he gets across. Here's the Corruptors going in once more. That'll be their second Nexus. And you know what? Now, suddenly, I really do like the Corruptors, because this is buying a tremendous amount of time here for SHIN, who just managed to secure a nice eco upper hand. And he's now also preventing the Protoss from just going, well, straight into a counterattack. Similar to Vikings, though, in Terran versus Protoss. When the Vikings are gone, you can go back to Colossi. When the Corruptors are gone, you can go back to the Mothership. herO still has the potential here, and he still has the economy to build up a Death Bowl. What SHIN doesn't have is a Hive. And I feel like it's becoming more and more obvious that he's missing late-game units. He's got a perfect economy, but his upgrades are falling behind. His army is strong right now, but it's also going to be falling behind the longer that this game goes on for. I really think we need to try and maybe get up to Lurkers, or at the very least Vipers, or at least Adrenal Glands, right? Like, we have a bunch of things that need to be done before the final engagement happens. And I'm a little bit afraid here that SHIN is on the clock now. That SHIN does not quite have the time available to him. It mostly comes down, of course, that, well, to when herO wants to go across the map. But herO's gonna max out before a Hive is done. Fourth Nexus, though, gets rebuilt. It's now finished. Observer will see that there is a Zerg army slightly further up north. At least if it keeps flying in that direction. Okay, it's not quite going to be able to spot it all the way through. There's the Hive coming. I feel so late, though. I think if herO goes with +3 done, he is going to be able to hit an incredible timing. The problem for herO is that he does not know. He has not been in the main base for herO, or of SHIN rather, ever since the first adepts were moving around. So he hasn't been in here in a very long time. He has no clue. Storm? Yeah, it's not gonna happen here, SHIN. That was bait. herO was trying to get you to roll into that. What about the fight over here on the top of the map? Yeah, not ideal either. High Templar doing an excellent job zoning away against all these units. SHIN decides to just double down on a full Hydraling Bane army. The force fields are good, though. And this Protoss army is terrifying now. Mama is out. Or the stepmother ship, I guess. She's out. She's not a replacement, by the way. She's just, like, new. She's like the newer model. Anyways, same stats, same abilities. Let's see. Yeah, I like this here for hero. So he's had his army split up for a while. Now we're bringing it all together in one big ball. It seems actually no. Ooh, this could be risky. I wouldn't mind having this army in one big ball. Prism here, very exposed. Still though, Protoss is now, for all intents and purposes, max out. There we go. Now we have the Protoss units joining together. 5th hatch or Nexus here is not going to happen. What about the mineral line here? Probes do get pulled, just barely in time. But the main fight is going on right now on the other side of the map. The Corruptor count is very low. Stalkers are awkwardly move commanding. Mass amount of units, though, for the Zerg now fighting in the Time Warp. Archons are having a grand old time tanking Baneling hits. And ultimately, the Immortals so far in this fight are living up to the name. They are not really taken care of here whatsoever. SHIN forced to spend his piggy bank now. His bank is actually entirely empty. He's got a bunch of Zerglings that he can still somewhat produce, but he wants to go Ultras? Ultras against a Protoss player going Mass Immortal Archon? I don't know about that, man. We have so many Immortals still remaining. They're just going to destroy Ultralisks. I guess the idea is that he wants to overwhelm this army and then remax with Ultras yet again. But can he even beat all of these Protoss units right now? Time Warp gets activated yet again. There's no High Templar, though, in the mix. Hero needs to be careful that he does not overextend here. Mama is once more, or Stepmama is once more, taking a lot of damage. And you know what? Maybe this is indeed the right call. Yep, Mama disappears. Immortals are disappearing. Now, we could consider going into Ultralisks, potentially. I say that. There's a lot more Immortals here that have run across the map. 2 more on the production tab as well. Zealots have come in from the other side of the map too. Prism was rebuilt. Okay. An absolute bloodbath here so far. How many workers have actually died this game? Really not that many. Base over at the bottom, being reconstructed here for hero. Chitinous plating is gonna finish up. Is that really what we want, though? I don't believe here in the Ultralisk, guys. If he makes it, he starts up the Ultra speed upgrade too. I think if he makes an Ultra, it is just gonna disappear. Unless you can send it in for like a counterattack and engage where the Immortals aren't. But if the Immortals are even remotely nearby, they're just gonna pop the Ultras. Okay, once more. Banelings try to connect. Man, SHIN has been on the verge of destroying like 20 probes at a time about 4 times in this game. But every single time it happens, he just doesn't quite get the connection he's hoping for. We have a very exposed Infestor. That one, ooh, is gonna indeed hit the fungal growth. Archon gets morphed in before the High Templar disappear. And his hatchery is going to fall. We have 1 Ultra coming up. I mean, it's gonna be a very well upgraded Ultra. No way that it's the right choice, though. I don't believe it, man. We have 8 Immortals. There's about as many Immortals as there are Zealots in this game. Well, maybe say goodbye to a few more of them. Hydras, though, kind of awkwardly in between this, Protoss expansion layout. I don't really like that all too much. Hydras do indeed die. And here it goes, hero yet again. Hero really shines in chaotic games. Yeah, nobody really does it better. Let's see. There's been action all over the map for the last couple minutes. But I think hero once more has done it correctly. Look at that Immortal, man. It took like 2 shots. Look at these Immortals, or the Ultras rather. Look at them disappear. There's no way this is the right call in a situation like this. Hatchery is gone. We have more and more Ultras trying their way to chop through this Protoss army. But GG gets gold. Hero wins game number 1. I think SHIN is still kind of stuck in the mid-game mindset that we saw when 5.0.16 first went live. About a month ago, all Zerg players were really doing was just this never-ending lair tech mid-game where they were going Hydraling Bane non-stop. Back then, though, it would work. It had to do, of course, with Protoss maybe being a little bit weaker at the time, but also with the fact that Protoss was still getting to terms with the new patch. Hero, certainly a lot more comfortable right now, is showing us that, yeah, you can be aggressive. And then also, man, that's the slowest extractor trick I've seen in a bit. took like 10 seconds, man. Anyways, we can now certainly tell that Protoss players are more comfy in the mid game. What are we doing, hero? Ah, we're on the old Sun Temple. I wasn't paying attention. This is a 4-player map. What hero is doing is trying to figure out whether or not his opponent has spawned in the upper right. Okay. Yeah, the main thing that SHIN ran into in that previous match is that he did not have Hive Tech done in time. It would have worked if his Banelings would have connected with the probes. If any of those 4 or so engagements would have blown up 20 probes, I think the game would have been SHIN's. Instead, we go into the second map of this best of 3 with a 1-0 advantage for hero. Pool first here for the Zerg. Yep. And it looks like he's arrived just in time to be a nuisance. Not bad. Hexagon-shaped expansion blocks, I think, are the most optimal form, right? I think we can all agree. SHIN decides to take his third base now after getting bullied a couple of times. It's once more, just like the previous game, a good old pool first. So hero will be starting this game off as well in the exact same way with, again, a good old Zealot. But this time around, it's not as many Lings. So do you cancel the Zealot in this type of setup? Yep. Cancels the Zealot in favor of a faster Nexus. Although then he doesn't start up the Nexus, so he could have had the Zealot. Believe it or not, in the big 2026, Protoss players are still paying 400 minerals for their Nexi. Can you believe that? Zork bases are 350. Command centers, though, are 300. Yeah. How are command centers the cheapest main structure right now? Isn't that kind of crazy? Anyways. Stalker is out. We're gonna do a little bit of dancing. Dancing to keep the probe alive. Dancing through the speed up circle. Since you saw the timing of the gas, or again, Lecter off, the Stalker can get a little bit adventurous. This is of course risky because losing a Stalker is very painful. Roughly, Protoss players generally take a third Nexus off of like 3 units. I wish I was exaggerating, but taking a third base as Protoss is actually really hard. So if you lose like 33 to 25% of your army, yeah, that hurts. It's once more going to be a Stargate build. Don't do it, Probius! Probius, no! Yeah, you have to know all of those timings, right? Like, it's so easy to think, okay, I can have this Stalker out on the map at this stage in the game. When do you send it home? Should we have sent it home already? Do we recall it? Oh my god, what? How did he get out? What? Yo! That hero took a... Or that Stalker, rather, took a bath in Vaseline before it left the gateway. That's crazy, man. Where did Hugo warmed him from? That's nuts. I'm assuming at the very least they get warped in through the gateway, right? Must have been on a very slippery planet. I don't know. He's overstaying, though. Yeah, I don't really know why we did that. He may be slippy, but the Zorkling still managed to get a wraparound. Oracle coming up. It's a second Oracle, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. The Adepts, though, all do get destroyed. And while we did have 10 Zerglings getting killed, the main problem here is the amount of Zerglings that SHIN has made. Look at the worker count right now. Look at this. This is before the Oracle harassment begins. 39 versus like 28 is what it was. That's crazy. SHIN really needs to power out drones here. Hero dedicating pretty much all of his chrono boosts onto probes here, if I were to make a guess. Doesn't have a whole lot of Nexus energy. Yeah, maybe 1 chrono on the first Adept, maybe 1 on an Oracle as well, but other than that, I think everything has gone to probe production. Massive map, of course, right? Quite difficult to actually get across. This is a map where usually fast units do shine. So even though we went for a single Oracle opener in game 1, and all of this looks remarkably similar, we do end up with a very different setup. So the new Oracles, look at that. They even get to fly together for a little while. colliding into one another. That's beautiful. We have the low HP one from earlier. The one that was responsible for a couple creep tumor kills. That one's been set up for defense duty now. The retirement plan of an Oracle. Ooh, and we have a Phoenix. I guess it's just to kill Overlords? Huh. Alright. How many do we get? That's 2. 3? 4? Nope. Ooh. hero's such a bully. Oh, look at this guy. This guy's gonna kill me. Kill me, do it. Sorry, buddy. The Oracles did not want to reactivate their Pulsar Beam for you. Damn. Unlucky. Alright. Lair indeed is gonna be done in about a half minute or so from now. We already have a Templar Archives though. And notice here how we are going charged, but we still do not have warp gates. I mean, we have the warp gates done, the research that is, but he has not transformed the gateways themselves. Adept kind of sleeping a little bit. Fair enough. Ooh. Ooh. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. 2 High Templar being made out of a regular gateway. That's weird. You know what's even weirder? We're going really quick fleet beacon now as well on the back of all of this. He's saving himself some gas, of course, by not transforming the warp gates. So hero actually is playing a much more defensive style right now. Huh. I really like what hero has been doing on the new patch, man. Like, initially he seemed so salty. But this is the hero we all know. It really felt to me when they first introduced the patch notes, right? As he's trying to kill this base, and he will kill the base. It felt to me like it was such a good patch for hero. At least the one that they were cooking up. Because it's introducing so much chaos, so much uncertainty. And historically, that's when hero has really shined. That's the type of playstyle that he prefers. Now, obviously, he was absolutely dominating every tournament that he entered. At least the ones that didn't have Serral in it. In 2026 so far. So hero has won more tournaments than anybody else out there. His total prize money is higher than anybody else for 2026 so far. So hero has been absolutely smashing it, but obviously the vast majority of the year has been on the old patch. Still, while hero kind of struggled in the first week or two, I'm really liking what he's doing now. Man, these mutas feel remarkably late. Protoss is already going 4 bases. We already have a fleet beacon coming. The initial influx of mutas is going to be scary, but I mean, there's Storm done. We have a Phoenix already built to try and deal with some of those Overlords. All that hero really needs to do is buy a little bit of time against the mutas. I want to believe, man, but I feel like the main moment where mutas are really sick is when it's mass muta early on. This feels super late, and you know what? The Phoenix sacrifices itself to scout. So, what do? Some static defense around the map. We have a Stargate immediately pumping out another Phoenix. Blink is going to be done as well in a moment. Photon cannon in the mineral line, second Stargate. Yeah, we're going Skytles. And you know what? I don't think a Protoss player has ever looked Skytles into the mouth. Or a gift Skytles into the mouth. That would make more sense. Here go the mutas, though. And they might actually be able to get quite a bit of damage done. I'm not sure how a mothership really fights against, like, this many mutas. Oh, man, this is gonna hurt. In the meantime, though, this ground army here for Protoss is absolutely terrifying. Wait a second. Brenda just got cornered. He charged in and then did hold position onto the Zealots. Mutas are still destroying things. Stalkers and Phoenixes inside of the main base. We still do not have warp gates, by the way. All of these units, including the Archons, got produced out of regular gateways. Now Mama is gonna spawn. Mutas are going back home. This Protoss army is destroying everything that Zerg currently has on the ground. Still, 18 workers is something you can recover from. And I don't believe that these Protoss army units are gonna go home. Again, an absolute bloodbath. Protoss, though, is on 4 bases. SHIN doesn't really quite have enough economy to deal with all of this, I don't think. Some of the units will go home, by the way. There's Mama. How many Phoenixes? 5 Phoenixes, 15 Mutas. This is starting to feel extremely slippy here for SHIN. He still has a good army, though. Yeah, he's got a very good harassment army, but he just doesn't really have a good army for straight-up fighting. They're actually throwing away a few too many Phoenixes. But all he really cares about is getting rid of those Mutas for now. And exactly upon them going down, it is herO who gets the 2-0 win. So we're following along with SHIN's journey in the RSL. And after losing, he went up against the other loser. This time around, it's a Protoss player that I have not seen in forever. We're looking inside of the main base of Trap. How long has it been since you have seen a Trap game? I'm actually gonna look it up. When is the last time Trap even played in a StarCraft tournament prior to this? So Trap is a legendary Protoss player. He's done exceptionally well for himself, at least historically. But he stopped playing a long time ago, as far as I know. Like, I know he played for a bit in the GSL CK not too long ago, and a couple of weeklies here and there, but he certainly took a long break. Yeah, so before restarting some events over the last few weeks, the last time Trap played was the LowkoTV Invitational Christmas Eve games in 2024. Pretty sick. Apparently Trap decided, you know what? Maybe the pro gaming life wasn't so bad after all. Let's give it a shot again. Pretty awesome. Now, I have no idea how good he is. Little caveat. I'm a bit afraid that SHIN is just gonna absolutely dumpster him. Because SHIN did not play poorly in the previous game. It's just that herO is extremely good. Let's see. In case you're unfamiliar with the name Trap, he really has done well for himself historically. Getting close to $400,000 in tournament earnings over the course of a pretty long career. I think he started playing in probably like early Wings of Liberty, maybe like mid Wings of Liberty. And apparently recently returning yet again. A very formidable offline tournament player in particular. It's usually quite a bit different to play online versus offline. Trap has played a lot of offline events in his career, traveling the entire world. So it's nice to see that he's back. Was he actually part of the invitational they recently had in China? That may be it. So they had an invitational tournament not too long ago. This was, I think, in June, if I'm not mistaken, where they effectively in China invited a bunch of old school pro gamers to come and play in an event. I didn't actually follow the event very closely. They sent me the replay pack, but then by the time I got the replays, there was already like an updated version of the patch. It's one of the tricky things when updates follow each other so quickly, right? It's a very exciting replay pack to have a look at, because there are names in there that we haven't seen in some time, but then it's an old patch, right? Like, do I still cast games that are old patch? Sometimes I do. But, yeah, this time around I decided, since, I mean, the new changes are so hype, that I'm not gonna, really pay too much attention to it. But I guess, upon getting his invitation to that particular event, Trap put in a bit of work and decided he's still enjoying the game. And now we're here. Managed to qualify for the RSL, so that certainly means he's not bad. I think they actually also do invites. Maybe he got, like, voted in or something? I don't really know. Anyways, maybe I should have done my due diligence. How about that? This is the reason you tune into my content, right? For me to speculate on literally everything. Anyways, I did successfully cover the first 4 minutes or so of the game, and that means the Stargate is done. Yeah, see? We have about 45 seconds of additional downtime every game now. And I filled it with having a conversation with myself. Yeah, I guess that's what happened. I need to get, like, I'm turning into, like, the more I cast by myself, the more I'm like Smeagol and Gollum, you know? What do you think of that, Lowko? Well, Lowko, I think that's a pretty brilliant take if you ask me. By the way, you're looking incredible today. Your hair is looking awesome. You doing anything different with it? This is gonna be me in a few years' time. But for now, we'll have to find out, I guess, just from Trap's gameplay, how good he is. What are you doing? You should go. Okay. This is an Oracle with janitorial duties. Yeah. It's a bit sad when an Oracle just gets to hang out for base defense. Like, this is like the shiniest, coolest technology available right now. And what do we do with it? We put it in a drawer. This is like people that buy a really fancy sports car only to keep it in the garage. Like, what are you doing right now? It's like buying a really nice watch only to put it in a safe. What? Come on, bro. Okay, I guess now that we have two of them, now that we have two sports cars, we can send them across. Third one is going to be used for, yeah, base defense instead. Bzz. 3 drones, not bad. It's again a massive map, of course. Difficult to really get units across it. Lair fires up right now for SHIN. I don't think SHIN is all too unhappy with how things are going. He's yet again going for a fast fourth hatchery rather on the left side of the map. Twilight Council finishing up. I'm assuming this is going to be Blink. No, it's not. All right. It's charged together with +1 attacks. This is the much more new school approach, right? For several years, it was Blink as the default every single time. I think charge is a little bit more interesting, actually, just across the board. But let's see. I'm actually a big fan of these charge builds. They've become so commonplace. It just seems more flexible. It's weird because Zealots are a very rigid unit, but there's quite literally never a composition for Protoss that's out there that does not benefit from a bunch of charge slots, right? Be it for counterattacks or just as a core unit in the army. Stalkers can actually fall off and be a wasted choice, but you can pretty much never go wrong with charge slots. That being said, we have a Spire coming up. And this is a proxy Spire. Look at this. He's using the Overlord to poop some creep. And he's building a Spire in a location that is very unlikely to be scouted. Oracles are flying around all the bases. Trap has been looking around, trying to see if he can find any of that sort of tech. I don't think he's going to find this. Still, though, I think as a Protoss player, you should always be suspicious of potential Mutalisks. Because it is something that can just absolutely destroy you if you're not careful. Ooh, really? Stasis Ward? Okay, that's one way to get the Zerglings to back up. Nice micro here by Shindo. We have again a fleet beacon, man. He's just trying to target the 4th base. Should we not be targeting the army? Dude, we're going Stasis Wards and one of them has already started targeting the hatch. Okay, if SHIN would not have split off Zerglings, I think it could have been in a world of trouble. Indeed, the hatchery would have died. But SHIN indeed saw this coming in from a mile away. Spire is done. Look at that Overlord, man. It's like it's sitting on top of the Spire. Do you think it's spongy? Looks kind of like a trampoline, no? Anyways, Mutas are coming up. We have the fleet beacon, but Trap does not have any money to make the Mothership, nor any of the late game units or upgrades. I'm a little bit afraid for what the Mutas can do this time around. He is going second Stargate. Did he see the Flippy Flappies? He must have. Oh, yeah. Revelation on the Queens. Mutas flying over the Queens. We have the Protoss drop going across again as well. Doesn't want to just lose those units. Nicely done here by Trap. Who wants to defend against the Mutas here by going into Phoenixes? By the way, we have half warp gates, half regular gateways. Supply block here for Trap. Oh, no. I think SHIN will help out in that regard, though. He will try and kill some of the probes. Open up some more supply here so Trap can actually produce Phoenixes. Very important. So far, the minimized losses are nice. Yeah, just 3 probes. Not quite what you're hoping for, has the Zerg. As long as there's a photon cannon together with a shield battery, I think Trap is okay. Yep, nicely done here. Honestly, Trap is playing better than I thought he would. I mean, maybe that's disrespectful. Can I even say that? But I was a little bit afraid that this was going to be an absolute disaster. But Trap is microing those units very well. We've seen it time and time again, right? That players kind of come back for a tournament or two and they just get dumpstered. SHIN is remarkably good right now, even though he lost against hero. That is not really anything to be ashamed of. It's like, oh no, you lost against the #1 Protoss in the world. Oh no. Well, to be fair, in my defense, I have never lost against hero myself. So, yeah. Take that for what it's worth. Here we go, though. SHIN has a scary army now. He's maxed out. Storm is done. Storm is done. We do need to have some really good storms, though. Can we please use the storms? My god. The Zergling's actually kind of trying to body block the High Templar. One of the High Templar was trying to tiptoe forward and land a storm. So many of the Protoss units are getting picked off in the meantime, though. And this is an extremely clumsy fight here for Protoss. There is a cheeky little Zealot counterattack, but it's really not that many of them. Oh, no. I think Trap just fell apart. Finally, you got a Mothership, but it's a little too late. There is detection nearby. Some of the reinforcing Zerg units will be used to clear out the, well, attack over here. Maybe even the Prism itself. Not really supposed to happen. Oh, Mama dies immediately. We have some Phoenixes trying to lift off whatever they can. You know what? I was afraid of the Nexus dying and then maybe some of the probes. Ultimately, it's only 5 probes in total that ended up going down. SHIN is not yet done, though. SHIN is now sending all the reinforcements across. Trap immediately goes for the second Mothership. He's making 5 additional gateways, which is kind of a lot. I don't really know if that's the correct play, if I'm being honest with you. He's spending so much money on units that are gonna be useful later on, but he needs units right here, right now. SHIN is sending everything that he's got, and Trap runs out of steam. That engagement that happened just now, he was very, I think, tunnel visioned on the High Templar micro. The High Templar were being body blocked by a couple Zerglings, and then by the time he finally paid attention to the rest of his units again, they had already died. I think Trap had all the troops to defend against this, but he did not quite control that properly. So SHIN takes the 1-0 lead. Apparently we're liking the big maps, huh? Exarch, game number 2 in this best of 3. Big map, big macro. You know what they say about StarCraft players that like big maps, right? Big macro, yeah. I don't know what you were thinking. Anyhow. SHIN's very clearly going for the exact same game plan as what he did against hero. Not really mixing it up all too much. It's mostly just Hydraling Bane based. And then some Mutalisks as well to boot, right? But we don't really seem to want to transition past that point. Now, lucky for him, mid-game Zerg is really scary. But it does become a little bit predictable at some point. And it is something that Protoss players can certainly counter. Yeah, sometimes you really like big maps, but that's not what you're given. Sometimes you queue up a game, you might accidentally stumble upon the 2026 edition of Steps of War, you know? You gotta work with what you're given. The carpet was rolled out for the probe. Sadly, nobody's home. You might be able to move in, though, later on, if that base is still available and he needs another mineral line. This is one of those maps that most people really like the look of. Like, visually, it's really nice. Graphically, it's very beautiful. Layout-wise, I think it's very interesting, but I feel like it's also a map that most people don't necessarily enjoy playing very much. It's just kind of weird, right? And usually, StarCraft players do tend to shy away from weird. I mean, we play a game from 2010. That makes us weird already as it is. So that alone is already a lot. But it's also just hard to play on. So you have these skinny mineral fields, these worker-only paths going down the ramp. Then this entire, like, just this natural layout with the minerals split up like that and a giant arrows pointing south, right? Like, it's just weird. We have the tunnels around the outside. I personally like all of it. But it's definitely more of like a viewer's type of map than I think a player's type of map. It's nice to see, though, that a lot of players do still end up picking it for the tournament series. I'm actually curious. If we look at, I think there's a Wikipedia page for this. How is Exarch doing win rate-wise? Okay, as far as I can tell, it has a 55% win rate for Zerg against Protoss. Small sample size, though, so I can't really draw any real conclusions from it. I don't think the Wikipedia page is giving me all the information. Yeah, it says that the only tournament that has used this map is the Maestros of the game too. That's not right. Anyways, it may very well be true, though, that this is indeed a slight advantage for Zerg. Generally speaking, on 4-player maps especially, cross-spawn locations are better for Zerg. Just because it's such a large map, right? It takes forever for just these units to arrive. Imagine like an Oracle going across the map. It's quite literally just going to take it several seconds longer before it gets there. Especially with all these slow circles as well in the middle of the map. Gives Zerg more time to defend. And obviously Zerg has the faster moving army most of the time. Not really a Brute Lord map, I suppose. Yeah. That's going to be the end of the Adepts, I'm afraid. Yep. 3 of them. 3 workers. Not bad. I don't mind 2 Adepts for 3 workers. The follow-up is going to be Glaives. So this is kind of funky, but because this is straight Glaives. We do not have a Stargate with this. This is just going to be straight Adepts with the Resonating Glaives research. So this is straight attack speed for Adepts. It makes them very good, especially against Zerglings and drones and all the rest of it. But there will be a dead giveaway here in just a moment for SHIN. Oh my lord, that was close. The dead giveaway being that there's no Oracle out. And if you don't see an Oracle right now as the Zerg... Yeah, look, he's blindly making Spore Crawlers. Alarm bells will start going off. Now, what exactly do you do? Do you want to go Roach Warren? Do you just make a million Zerglings? +1 melee? Too late for that now. He has still not seen anything. SHIN is actually playing with fire. He's looking around the map for proxy expansions. Trying to see if there's anything like that going on. Oh, interesting. So he's going Robo Facility. I thought that that was going to be for a Prism. Wait a second. Are we doing an Adept with Glaives build? And then following it up with Immortal Sentry? It's 4 Adepts. What is the Glaives for? I think we are vibe tossing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you want to look into this all too much. I believe we call this vibe tossing, where you exclusively play on vibes alone. I think if you would have committed to a big Glaive Adept push, though, it would have been pretty sick. Instead, right now, we end up having an upgrade and a tech structure, and we do absolutely nothing with it. This has been... Trap mostly just shooting himself in the foot here. Not ideal. Sometimes, though, these, like, very suboptimal builds do give your opponent a concussion, right? They get very confused about what's going on, because from SHIN's perspective, this makes even less sense than from our perspective right now. He's been looking around for proxy bases. He hasn't seen an Adept. He's seen a couple of... Or sorry, he hasn't seen an Oracle. He's seen a couple Adepts, but then he also saw 3 Sentries. This is the right call. This is the right call right here for SHIN. Killing this Nexus is absolutely massive. Okay, he's not going to be able to get the job done. But just even a little bit of damage is quite nice. Keeping Protoss on his toes. Supply block right now as well for Trap. Okay. Things are falling apart. Are we even really making use of the 3rd Nexus? Because he's made a handful of additional probes. He just spent all of his money on the gateways. Except for this one at the front, even though you were the first one. I'm sorry, lad. What are we doing now? We're going Blink Stalkers? The problem is when you try to play with vibes mostly, generally speaking, you lose against high-ranking players. There is a moment for vibe tossing, but usually it's the second half of the game. You know, the part where hero is very strong? He's playing based on feels alone. But his early game is usually not like that for, well, many reasons. Because you can already see like a 20 supply lead right now for SHIN, and really nothing has happened in this game. If SHIN just makes army units, it's going to be nearly impossible to die for him. He's got 10 more workers than the opponent, and honestly, it's very conservative. He wasn't super fast on these workers. He did not make any workers for the 4th base either. But he's still very far ahead, even though nothing has happened. Overseer Scout now sees the mass gateway. Trap goes back to probes. Yeah, SHIN now sees the army in the middle of the map, sees it go back home, fires up some workers of his own as well. I think I'm gonna go out here on a... I think it's a good idea, right? Bear with me here. I think it's good to have a plan where you're playing a competitive 1v1 match. I'm not sure what the plan was here, but clearly it did not work out for Trap. He's still getting quite a bit of worker kills here, actually. Prism gets stuck against the zip line, or the tunnel, or the metro station, whatever you want to call it. Ooh, careful. No. He knew where the spore crawler was as well, man. Ugh. Yeah, we're not in the best of spots here anymore. Trap's army is still scary, though. I will say, like, this is still... He's gonna have, like, one really scary attack in him. He's got 69 probes, so that's pretty nice. But if you compare it to the Zerg, it's not ideal. Keep in mind that it now takes 2 force fields, or 2 corrosive balls, rather, to pop a force field. So SHIN can't really be taking fights like that in the middle of the map. Just wasting a little bit of force field energy, though, might already be good enough. Hallucinated Colossus to provide high ground vision. Is there even enough units, though, for Trap? I don't think so. Here's Zerg units now, spawning out of cocoons and magically setting up a full surround. We have some roly-poly banelings as well that SHIN is like, yo, actually, I'm going to just send them back. If you show up with some zealots, I will use them, but I don't really want to waste them right now. Yeah, something went horribly wrong right here for Trap. Maybe he trapped himself. Lowko, you're so funny. I'm going to hit the like button. Okay, we're going Ultras again. I don't know about that. In this type of scenario, though, I think Ultras are better than in that game number 1 against hero. 5th hatchery. That's pretty nice. Yeah. Ultra together with some good old fungal growths can work together very nicely. It does mean, though, that SHIN is going to give his opponent a lot of time in this game still. It's probably the right call. But I do wonder if he's making, yeah, just the smallest chance here, even for SHIN to come, for Trap to come back, rather. It could be disastrous. He's just gonna make some Ultras, get Chitinous plating, wait for the +2 armor to be done, and then I guess we send it. Disruptors are a terrible setup against this, by the way. So is Psystorm. Yeah, now we're getting to the stage where actually Ultras are a great choice. No unit here that Trap currently has is good against Ultras. He's giving up on some of the Roach supply right now. Yeah, he doesn't want to just donate it. He was hoping he was going to lose those units and get a trade for it. Don't do it, Probius. That base is never going to live. Oh, SHIN actually makes another Roach. That makes no sense. All right, roll your Banes gently down their base and their army at the same time. Merrily killing all the probes. Okay, 11 probes actually, not that much. How many High Templar? Just a single High Templar. Maybe a couple of other units too. That was actually not bad for Trap, but look at the supply count. SHIN is cruising. My mom always said that I shouldn't play with my food. That is the vibe I'm getting right now, but obviously SHIN's tournament life is on the line. Losing this best of 3 would be the equivalent of elimination out of the RSL. So he's playing this very cautiously. But there definitely is such a thing as being too cautious. You have to make decisions at some point. Trap able to max out here. And Trap really likes the slowdown circles, so he keeps standing inside of them. It's a little risky. You even have 5 spine crawlers coming up against potential Zealot run-bys. This is one of those setups, man, where I think Trap is like, yo, I think I'm super dead, but also I have a pretty good army. I think this is actually a bit of a misread here. Ooh, Microbial Sprout together with Ultras. I thought this was going to be for fungal growths to prevent the Stalkers from blinking away, but Microbial Shroud reduces the damage taken here by 50%. Not bad at all. Neuroparasite is going to be done in a little bit. Now, finally, we do get a fungal, but that's right after most of the units have already died. I think this was mostly just SHIN testing the waters, but it's good enough. GG. That means we move on to the Deciders match. Now, you may be wondering, who else was in the group? Who did hero beat in his opening match? Spawning right here. In the bottom right, it's another Protoss. We have none other than Classic. Apparently for SHIN, it is Zerg versus Protoss day. So this is a group with SHIN, Classic, Hero, and Trap. Do we need more proof that Terran is underpowered? Blizzard? Hello? Maybe consider reducing the cost of command centers to like 200 or something. That would be, I think that would be reasonable. David Kim? Hello, Blizzard? Okay, now this time around, apparently no Terrans in the group. That is nice, though. If you are SHIN, right, and you see that group, you're like, okay, I'll know who I'm playing in a week or so from now. This week, it's Zerg versus Protoss week. Quite literally the only matchup you have to prepare for. Not so lucky if you're Classic, because you have to be preparing for PvP and PvZ. What? We're sending 2 drones? What are we doing with 2 drones? Where are you going, little guy? What was the plan here? So it's a 15 hatch first. Okay. Do we do a proxy hatch? In my mind, SHIN is not really a... like, he did do this not too long ago, right? Like, he was playing this regularly on 5.0.15. Doing this against Classic, though, of all people? I feel like Classic is very strong defensively, but maybe I'm mistaken. SHIN clearly does not think that that is the case. Zealot coming up already. This was, by the way, the main variety that we used to see a lot at the end of 5.0.15, right? Like, some of the games of ZVP were just this, over and over and over again. Especially the Korean Zerg players were enjoying proxy hatch rushes quite a bit. Is it now weaker? Yeah. Now, hatcheries are 300 minerals compared to 275. And obviously, the Warp Gates research is stronger than it's been before, right? So I would imagine that this is quite a bit worse for Zergs across the board. So much, I guess, for early game variety, Blizzard. Anyways. I don't like this here for SHIN. So you do successfully delay the Protoss expansion, right? But now, I like the double Adept follow-up. 2 Zealots, 2 Adepts, Nexus. It's a really clean follow-up here for Classic now. That's gonna force out a ton of Zerglings. Pro production definitely needs to continue, though. Let's see. Zergling speed is a long ways off. You never really know exactly how many Adepts there's going to be here as the Zerg. Yeah, so SHIN evacuates the low ground entirely. I think the proxy hatchery just makes the game so much harder, right? Like, what am I missing? What was the supposed outcome of that proxy hatchery ever going to be? Feels to me that SHIN has just handed Classic a free pass to the mid game to do whatever he likes. He's made so many links. What are you gonna do with all of them? The Abailing Bust on the back of this? Nah, he doesn't have a Gas Geyser. Stargate is gonna still be done. Oracle here would be phenomenal. Yep. The ultimate Zergling killer at this stage in the game. Very clean game right now for Classic. He obviously is thrown off his game plan, right? But I don't think he's all too unhappy. The trickiest thing right now for Protoss is taking a third base. This is a lot of Zerglings, but it's not the end of the world. If you really want to take a third, you could just keep this Oracle defensively at home. Since he doesn't have the minerals for it anyways just yet, he's going to make another Oracle. Go into a 2-base Twilight Council 2. Usually you build this after the third Nexus. But I think that Classic has plenty of experience to flexibly adjust to this sort of strat. Let's see. Spore Crawler setup. Honestly, just forcing a Spore Crawler is already a lot. The Zerg economy here is not very good. There's the third Nexus. Plenty of Adepts available. Second Oracle is going to be out as well. Nothing the Zerglings can really do. So now we have a third base here for the Zerg, not even done yet. And a third Nexus already starting up for Protoss. Okay. Okay. Not a good setup here for Shin at all. Like, he's the one that invited this, right? Like, he's the one that's like, hey, here, you have a lead. Roach Warren. +1 melee is very expensive for Zerg in this type of setup. So, again, not really a great option. Oversaturating the natural for now. Decides to transfer about half the workers. Spore Crawler required over here. Not quite in time. Queens are going to try and chase all of this down. We really do need to see a Spore Crawler, though. Roach Warren is nice, of course. But already, the Glaive to Depths are on the horizon. He's going to get the Resident Glaives research done. So far, not paying the Gateway tax just yet. Shin does scout, but what does he see? He sees the most normal setup ever. I guess he sees a lot of Adepts. That's pretty nice. But yeah, this is the most normal setup you can really hope for here as a Zerg player. You don't really see anything weird. It's mass Zergling now against Glaive to Depths. Shin, of course, playing with the Diva announcer. Your forces are taking damage! Terrible, terrible damage! Alright, Diva. Just chill. Yeah, the Glaive to Depths don't really do anything, though. 7 Adepts here did fall. And this is the weird thing about Adepts now, right? So Adepts did get a nice little buff as well, where they benefit more from upgrades. And the idea is that they're gonna be less useless in the mid-game. So now they're gonna benefit from the +1 upgrade with like an extra point of damage, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know if there's any like moment though where the Adepts are going to be noticeably stronger. Usually that's the main problem with Adepts though. They fall off the longer that the game goes on, and yeah, Classic still decides to just send it over here. Don't really love this. Sending it into the loving embrace of the Roaches. But Shin is still behind economically. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, he did have a couple of workers ahead of the opponent for a bit there, but Classic now saturating his third base before the Zerg is able to do so. Immortal Sentry on the back of this right now for Classic. This will be a scary attack though. Shin has got a lot of units and he's sending the Queens together with the Overlord March. Let's see. One push for all the marbles. This is where force fields are amazing. Not a lot of energy available, actually. Energy recharge also on cooldown. Wait a second. Does Classic even have any units to really be properly dealing with this? The mass number of Zerglings has been amazing. Shield batteries are touching, so that means that indeed the corrosive balls can kill them really quickly. But at this point, there's no energy for anything anyways. Oracles are also out of energy. Yo, Classic has a full energy-driven army, and nothing has energy. Glaive to Depths did just die right before the fight happened. And I guess that's what triggered Shin to go across the map and test the waters. You do want to kill the probes and the Nexus, though, here, as the Zerg player. I think that's the bare minimum amount of damage, but he's gonna get, well, all of that and then some. Classic sees where this game is headed. He decides to tap out. That means that SHIN wins game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves once again in a cross-spawn location on Old Sun Temple. Apparently SHIN is really liking this map, huh? Can't blame them all too much. It does seem to be a nice, comfortable macro map across the board. Now, I did fast forward through like the first 3 minutes and a little bit. It's an extremely normal opener, though, for both players. So, triple hatchery for SHIN. No cheeky proxy hatchery this time around. And a Blink, sorry, not a Blink Stalker. A Stargate build right here for Classic. Maybe he's gonna follow it up with Blink Stalkers, who knows. Oof. The Adept's actually, yeah, not getting any work done, only a single worker. I guess a bit of lost mining time. But killing the first Adept also kind of means that the second Adept is unlikely to really put in any work. We'll see the Nexus going down here in just a moment, I'm sure. As Classic is once more going Oracles. That is, of course, the main thing about Classic's playstyle. It is extremely classical. Unlike Innovation, he actually has a username that is, yeah, accurate to the way that he likes to play. He'll be making as many units here in just a moment as possible, but I don't think we're really gonna see any crazy moments here for Classic. SHIN actually guiding that game back to a winnable spot was really quite impressive in that previous one. +1 melee this time. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, by the way, the games that we have seen today on Old Sun Temple have all run pretty long. I wonder if this one is going to be similar as well. I guess there's just a lot of mineral lines available. Man, the water looks terrible. Why does the water look the way that it does? Wait a second. I think most of the time, right? StarCraft 2, for a game being this old, looks pretty great. I don't know what this is, though. Then again, map makers, just like me, never go outside, so I can't blame them for not knowing what a shoreline looks like. Going outside is clearly overrated, I think we can all agree. Anyways. Very quick charge here for Classic. +1 as well added into the mix. Let's see what we can do. 1 drone for now. I like the return of 4-player maps, but man, does this one feel big. It's good, of course, to have some variety in the map pool, right? But it just creates such a passive game. I wonder if SHIN is gonna go Mutalisks yet again. This map, by the way, does not have vertical spawn locations, so it's only horizontal and cross. I think cross is really good for Zerg. Horizontal is kind of eh. There's a Spire. Yeah, so SHIN is going Spire on this map 3 out of 3 times. I think it's pretty predictable now. Good chance as well that Classic has seen those games, because obviously they were being played, well, in between his matches, or maybe before his match. Meaning that he had some time to maybe check out the stream himself. Doing a little bit of out-of-game scouting. Oh, this is horrible, though, for Protoss. What are we doing? These are +1 melee links. Yeah, +1 missile gets cancelled right now in favor of a +1 carapace. Carapace research now is 100 minerals, 100 gas. So that's very cheap. This has completely taken a wind out of Classic sales. It's not like it's the end of the world or whatever, but it now effectively means that SHIN can do whatever he likes. Fleet Beacon. Man, I'm getting deja vu from the previous games. Can he kill this hatchery up north at least? Yeah, he will get the cancel on it. But that was a secondary 4th base, right? Some would call it a 5th base. But really, one of those 2 bases was supposed to be gone by the end of this entire situation here. So he has to cancel the expansion over here, but it does not really matter. One of those expansions was going to be treated like a macro hedge anyways. At least he keeps one of them around. Oracles do move into position. Not a lot of energy. Loses one of them as well for free. Okay. This is by far the best spot for Mutalisks that we have seen so far today. -1 Oracle. These Zealots are not likely to achieve too much. If push comes to shove, of course, we just can see the Mutalisk clear them out. Here's Mama. Mama together with some Archons, actually. So he did go for the Quick Templar Archives. He did make a lot of High Templar out of regular gateways. But I guess that's really just to try and defend against the Mutalisks primarily. It's not really meant to be offensively used, I don't think, anytime soon. Probes over at the third base in a world of trouble. Keep in mind, there's no blink. He's gonna recall. What are we recalling? 1 Archon. 2 Archons. Yeah. Interestingly enough, though, even though SHIN could double down on Mutas, and he did go for the +1 flyer upgrade, he's immediately going back to his beloved Hydra-Link Bane style. So if there ever was a moment for him to either like quickly tech up or play Mass Muta or something along those lines, it would be right now. Instead, we're going Hydra-Link Bane. So Hydra-Link Bane seems to effectively just be the style that he prefers right now. And anything that deviates from that plan is considered, I guess, but not really overcommitted to. We're just going straight into Hydra-Link Bane again. And I don't believe we'll be seeing a Hive anytime soon. Classic, going for the extra Stargate. He doesn't know, right? Like, he doesn't know how many Mutas there are. He's probably gonna click one of the Mutas here in just a moment and notices that +1, well, flyer attacks is done. Usually, we never really see that upgrade unless you plan on going Mass Muta. Still good for harassment, of course. Yeah, so if he starts pumping out Mass Phoenixes right now, which he does... Yep, he queues up a whole lot of Phoenixes. He must have clicked on one of them and realizes that indeed they have their attack upgrade done. He's gonna be in for a nasty surprise when it's ultimately indeed a Hydra clump showing up. I think he cancels these and go... Yeah, he cancels them and go Carrier or something. Right now, High Templar into Carrier, something along those lines would be phenomenal. But SHIN is already maxed out. And that's a really good game plan for Protoss in the long run. But you're not gonna be strong in the next couple minutes. SHIN could go for a big Hydra-Link Bane push right now. Instead, he goes Hive. He's got 2-2, though, together with Banelink speed coming. Let's see. This is a very delicate balance here to walk as a Protoss especially. Because you want to go into the Skytoll's army right now. But you also know that 2 carriers don't really do that much. You need like 6. Preferably like 8 before it's really good. Man, he actually never got Psystorm. That's... Yeah, he made so many High Templar here that I kind of assumed he had the research done, but it's not the case. Archons are still, though, really extremely nice. Obviously, Phoenixes can still be used to, like, lift up Hydras. Yeah, I don't really mind it that much. It's keeping these units at bay. In the meantime, though, there was a Baneling roll-by as well over at the third. No detection available here for the... No, there is detection here for the Zerg in the form of those Overseers, but... This is kind of messy. And I think this is ultimately a cleanup, but it's mostly just a trade of the armies. And considering SHIN has way more workers available right now than Protoss, life's pretty good. There's the Ultralisk Cavern coming up right here for SHIN. Hydra-Link Bane into Ultra. Very interesting style. It's actually kind of nice, right? I don't know how other people feel about me having like a look at like 3 series of the same player in a row. This just so happens to be the same matchup as well, back to back to back. But it's really an in-depth look at exactly the way that SHIN currently likes to play this matchup. You can make a probably like a 90% accurate prediction on what at least a ZVP in the next couple of weeks for SHIN will look like. Okay, we have a bit of a curveball. While we will go Ultras, we're also building a bunch of Dropper Lords. Interestingly enough, by the way, it's +2 flyer finishing here real soon for SHIN, despite the fact that he has absolutely no flying unit. I guess this is just in preparation of his opponent potentially going Skytoss. Indeed, now it gets fired up. I'm assuming that that is the reason he also went for the +1 flyer. You pretty much always need Corruptors to kill Skytoss anyways, and Mutas kind of invite Skytoss. May as well just get the upgrades going if you're planning on the game running long anyways, I guess. It's a lot of Zerglings. They will not have Adrenal Glands done yet. The upgrade is still coming. But still, +2 melee links. They need to be respected. There's a lot of units out on the map as well in the meantime. If Classic panics and all army hotkeys back most of his army, he's going to be in for a nasty surprise. Banelings trying their absolute best to roll through. Banelings on the top as well, simultaneously moving through. And while the ones down south got defended, say goodbye to your mineral line. Potentially even 2 Nexi. Main base is now gone. And that was the Zerg dream. That's exactly what SHIN has been trying to do in every single one of these games. Didn't really get the job done, but now the big bomba hit indeed does connect. Suddenly, this game is looking pretty terrible for Classic. Now, he still has a massive army. This Protoss army needs to be respected. How many Immortals do we have, though? Yeah, 0. 0. Fully maxed out Ultras are gonna be available really soon. And what in the world can Classic do against them? It requires him going Immortals, but if you want to play Immortals right now, you need to have at least an economy that's a little bit better than this. We're effectively forcing Protoss to now go for an all-in. And SHIN is waiting for him on creep. Look at this. Yeah, pulls back the units a little bit too. He wants to take a proper fight. Zergling flyby. Maybe into the natural expansion. Classic actually takes another base. He's not really remaking probes though, so that's the crazy part about all of this. Some Zerglings are going to unload in the mineral line over there. This Nexus is certainly not going to live. We see a recall towards the natural, just because of the Overlord drop. More time? I don't think SHIN really minds it. Ultras are just going to have a grand old time running through all of this. They have that Frenzy passive, so they don't get CC'd by anything. Yeah, and now Ultras are so bloody scary, man. We haven't really had a whole lot of anti-air available, by the way. It's just mostly been Hydras. This is an absolute bloodbath, I will say. Ultras, even though they're more microable now than they ever have been, they're still a bit derpy just because they're so big. Getting them to fit in between these structures not so easily done. SHIN trying his best to throw the game, but even that fight wasn't the end of the world. Huge number of Zerglings going through. He didn't finish off the Mothership. He did not finish off the Nexus. But now the wave of Zerglings will get the job done. 10 Infestors. Together with Neural Parasite coming up right here for the Zerg player. This man wants to go out with a bang. You know what? You can't beat the Archons. You can't beat the Immortals. What about Neural Parasite on all of them? More Dropalords coming in as well. I think SHIN is starting to find his groove a little bit, right? Like, it's taken... how many games are we in? I think this is game 6. It's taken a bit for him to really get comfortable, but he's having a good time now. Proxy base as well on the far bottom left. Yeah, Classic is... It's one of those rough spots, right? Where you don't even have a main base anymore. Your natural is running low. Your third doesn't have a lot of juice in it. You've just lost your fourth. But you still have this. So you can't really leave the game. But also, you're in an absolutely terrible spot. This is going to be, I think, an ending for the fans. Is there an observer? There is an observer. There's no burrow available yet anyway, so I guess it's done right now. Neural Parasite 10 seconds behind. Does he matter? Does it even really matter? Microbial Shroud instead. Okay, Microbial Shroud, Fungal Growth. We don't really have a whole lot more available, but again, Microbial Shroud is incredible, man. It reduces the damage of the Immortals and all of these other ranged units by 50%. SHIN immediately remaxes. Classic has spent his piggy bank on like 3 additional Zealots. I guess there's currently no anti-air in this... oh my god. There's currently no anti-air in this Zerg army at all. That's why the Corruptors are coming out. the first flying unit in quite some time. They're gonna get +3 attacks, by the way. Zorklings are eating up the entirety of the Protoss main base. And Classic refuses to leave. I don't really know exactly what he believes in right now, you know? He's got... I believe this is what the kids call copium. We warp in 4 zealots. Shin's like, yo, here, have some more of my drones. Okay, maybe we don't want to be losing all these drones. Should I remind you what the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is? Because we may be headed in that direction. Although there's 0 chance that Classic could ever win a base race. It turns out SHIN does not need to proceed and kill literally all of the structures right there of the Protoss. But a beautiful set of games here. In the end, that does mean that SHIN moves on out of the group in 2nd place. GG.